Welcome to the Community Foundation Virtual Candidate Forum. Tell us about your personal involvement with Boulder County's nonprofit community.
So I'm going to introduce myself and answer the question altogether. I'm Fenno Hoffman. I'm an architect and strategic planner, and I also teach urban design, and I write about how land use affects the environment, the economy, and the social life of communities. I have served 6 years on the board of the Derry Center for the Arts and 9 years on the board of the Jarrow Montessori School. I'm an elected member of the Downtown Design Advisory Board and executive director of the Architects and Planners of Boulder, which is a nonprofit group of about 300 architects and planners that reviews land use policy and encourages sustainable development. I'm a dad raising 4 children. I'm expecting a baby. I've been married, divorced, and remarried. My kids have gone to 4 private and 5 public schools. I've lived in cities, towns, suburbs, and rural areas here and in Europe, and I travel globally. I've also ridden my motorcycle all over the US and Canada, visiting and photographing cities and towns of all sizes. I'm running because our land use policies are driving families to surrounding suburbs, and because our commuters and middle-class working families are poorly represented on council and in our community discussions, and I want to include their interests in our policies. My nonprofit experience involves representing people who need assistance of some kind because our markets and regulations somehow fail to provide what they need, or because what they produce has some purpose that doesn't always create wealth, like art. My board experience includes smaller organizations with lots of hands-on dirty work, and also larger organizations like the Dairy with complex relationships with the city, sophisticated donors, and difficult long-range goals. I know the language spoken in and around nonprofits.
The Community Foundation has identified a lack of diversity in representation both among elected officials and among nonprofit leadership. How can the city increase its inclusiveness, particularly in hearing from marginalized community members?
So first, by considering the circumstances of marginalized community members who often can't attend city discussions but have important contributions to offer and sometimes special needs, this means being conscious of more than just the loudest voices at the council chamber's microphone. Second, encouraging outreach like the Meetings in a Box program to go get opinions where people live. We can expand this kind of listening in other ways, and I would look forward to doing that with some of the marginalized communities, going to find out where to reach them, where to find them, how to make it easy for them to contribute. Sometimes they can't come to the meetings or even speak some of the language that we speak in some of these meetings. It's very specialized sometimes, and that can be intimidating, understandably, to anybody. Third, the boundaries of political, profit, and nonprofit action ought to follow people, not fences. Our community really includes everyone who spends a significant part of their time in Boulder. 50,000 people commute in and out of Boulder every day. They need to be included in our thinking because they are affected by our policies. Finally, people representing minority groups can be encouraged to apply for positions on advisory boards, nonprofit boards, and action committees.
What are your ideas in addressing volatile sales tax revenues, a portion of which is used to support local nonprofits?
And of course, if I had the answer to this, I would be the mayor, I suppose. But I know there's a lot of talk about regional sales tax sharing among communities, because sales tax kind of follows businesses, and businesses follow opportunities, and they migrate all over the place. They sprawl just like commuters do. So we've discussed sharing them, but communities compete tremendously for these same tax dollars, and so that's a very tough sell, especially to the communities who get more sales tax dollars now. So that's a big one, but there are structural issues that affect the kinds of sales tax dollars that we can generate. And in my planning work, I'm sort of talking about the general system now. I'm looking for a lot of missed opportunities in the way we develop our land. I think there's a lot of development opportunity in the Transit Village project, for example, to build districts that are more affordable and more inclusive, and can invite communities that might, community members that might not be able to afford to buy a single-family house in a very expensive neighborhood, but might be able to afford a townhouse or an apartment if the neighborhood were interesting enough and vibrant enough that somebody would want to live there. I think we can do those kinds of projects, but not now. Our zoning is very, very restrictive right now, and it just limits a lot of those kinds of alternative kinds of housing in neighborhoods that would create places for people who are now really underrepresented in our, 87% white community. So, I think there's sort of bigger structural moves we need to make Boulder more welcoming to people who aren't, rich white yuppies.
Great.
So,
Anything else you'd like to share with the nonprofit community?
I think I probably shared too much already.
All right, thank you.